A sheltered, awkward, lonely introvert finally figures it out.
Hey. I heard you were lonely. I'm pretty lonely too. Or at least I can be at times. Have you ever been so lonely that it wakes you up in the middle of the night, that it suffocates you as you try to eat dinner with your family, that it would just be easier if I stepped off the curb right in front of that bus? I've been that lonely. I'm not so much anymore, but I've been there. Compromising your morals out of desperation, becoming a person that you don't recognize, taking every social slight personally, crying silently into the darkness as you feed the stray cats that hang around the dumpster beside your apartment building. That one might have just been me. 2 days ago, in fact. What's up? My name is Bri. Welcome to my channel. Today, I just wanted to talk about loneliness. There is a loneliness epidemic going on right now, especially for a lot of young adults since the pandemic, because the landscape right now is ripe for loneliness, especially
I don't think so, Dapper Cat, but I haven't finished watching the video, so I'm not sure.
if you came of age during the pandemic. You went from being in a space where you were consistently having to be around people all the time in real life, either through school or through work, and then we all got sent home and everybody realized I don't have to go in and see people and talk to people in order to do work and get paid. A lot of people like that. Every gift has a dark side, and I guess that dark side for a lot of people was the isolation. But even before that happened, a lot of adults were feeling pretty lonely. I myself have been lonely most of my life. And most of my life, I have been deeply ashamed of my loneliness because I took it to mean that I wasn't doing something right. I was missing something in my brain that was making it easier for other people to make friends. And there must be something wrong with me. And especially if you're on social media, you're seeing people posting about their friends and stuff that they're doing. I will say, even though I have been getting so much better with the loneliness that I've been feeling, every time I see a post where somebody is either with their friends or it was a picture that was obviously taken by one of their friends, I'm just like, how? Bitch, how?
Can I also just say one other thing on the loneliness topic? There really is no feeling worse than seeing a bunch of your friends hanging out and posting those pictures online and you're not there. That is like the worst feeling on the planet.
What are you doing so differently? Is it just boldness? Are you just supposed to be hanging out with somebody and stop and be like, can you take my picture really quick? See, that feels really cringy to me. But that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is just loneliness in general. So leave a comment about your loneliness struggles and we're gonna get right into the video. I didn't want to make this video, but I was researching what videos that I should make next and I kept running into loneliness, and obviously it's something that people care about. And the purpose of my channel was really to just unpack all these things. I just really want people to feel better and to feel happier. And I spent so much time feeling like ashamed of how unhappy I was. Not just feeling unhappy, but unhappy about very specific things that it seemed like other people couldn't relate to. Everybody else seemed to be unhappy that their boyfriends were breaking up with them, or that their best friends were talking about them behind their backs, or something like that. I'm a writer, and something that I noticed about my writing is literally every story I've ever written has had a main character who is struggling with loneliness. It definitely shows me what I care about and what I struggle with. But I didn't really want to make this video because I still feel lonely all the time, and it sucks. There are times when I feel so lonely that I hate myself.
I don't know how to feel about the fact that so much of me as a person is spite driven and so much of me as a person is competitive that I have almost on principle refused. Like, fuck you. At God, at whoever the fuck decided this shit. Fuck you for giving me social anxiety and making me cringe. Fuck you. I will make friends. Okay? Watch me fucking do it. Watch me do it. And then I force myself into so many social interactions until I finally find people who I like being around, who like being around me. Just, it's like a principled stance. It's like, no, fuck you. I will find people who like my cringe. I will, all right? It's not gonna be everyone, that's okay. But I am not fated to be this way. I refuse to allow it to happen. Osco, thank you so much for the 13 months. Thank you. And it's like, realistically speaking, I like sitting at my computer all day, every day, but I also know that it'll make me super depressed if I do it. So truly, I live in a hell of my own making. Because it's just me wanting to sit at my computer and do nothing all day and forcing myself to not do that because I know that it won't make me happy. Which is like, yeah.
This happened recently. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. I don't want to talk about it. I'm still very raw about it, but I feel like I should. So my entire life, I've never really felt accepted. I will say 0 to 9. I had a great life. I have no notes. I had so many friends. I was a pretty narcissistic little kid. I thought the world revolved around me. The first time I felt like chronic loneliness, I think I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade. None of my friends were in my class. The stuff that me and my friends would do is we were all highly imaginative. Make-believe was like a sport for us. That's how much we were into just playing make-believe and just playing with each other. But in 5th grade, that was the first class that I was ever in where there was literally, I had just no friends in the class. None of my crushes were in my 5th grade class. I think at that point, I didn't even have any crushes in the school. So I just remember just feeling blah all the time. I think even the recess that I had when I was in 5th grade,
I think I also got lucky in a way because I didn't have friends in school until I basically got to high school. Like I had people who were nice to me and I had people who like I enjoyed hanging out with, but I didn't really have real friends until high school and I got bullied until then. So I think it like hardened me and it hardened my resolve. So it like the loneliness, it was put in me at a very young age. So I was ready for it as an adult.
My friends shared my recess. I was friends with one girl, her name was Claudia, and we used to do something called the punching game, where we would try to punch each other as hard as we could. And that was the extent of our friendship. And that was pretty much all of 5th grade. I just remember feeling like so bored and
born in it, molded by it, yeah.
When I got to 6th grade, there was a big shift. I had been at the same elementary school for 4 years, so I was very comfortable there, but going to a new school, something changed in me. I was trying to be my same confident self. My elementary school was very diverse. We had all different types of races. Claudia was Latina. A lot of my other friends were Caucasian. I had a mix of friends. When I got to middle school, my middle school was 90% Black. And I noticed something right away. They were not like the other kids that I was used to. I will say that Black kids that are from the poorer areas grow up faster than those who don't come from that area. And these kids were more mature and they were interested in older stuff, older kids stuff that I just wasn't on yet. I was 11. I still liked watching cartoons. And
I almost feel like I had not her problem, but like the other problem where I really struggled to make friends that were my age. And I almost exclusively wanted to be friends with people who were older than me. And so I would hang out because my siblings were older than me. And so I would hang out with them and their friends. And then I would go to school and I wouldn't be able to get along with anyone my age. And then get bullied and then so on and so forth.
And these kids were making sex jokes that I didn't get. I was always cracking jokes and like trying to make people laugh. This was not working on these kids. I would try to sit at this table with these 2 girls. In the beginning, they were like okay with me, but as time passed and I guess they saw my personality more, they were just like, whenever I would try to sit with them at that table, there was one girl, she was really quiet. Her name was Cassidy. I can't remember, something like that. But she wrote me a note that said, "Do you want to be friends?" I thought, oh my God, thank God, I'm actually gonna finally have a friend at this school. I wrote back, yes. Tell me why this bitch moved away the next week. Like, what? Why would you even ask me to be your friend if you were gonna move away with...
Oh, that's where the trust problem started. Did you get along better with adults? Yes, I got along very well with adults and I got along with kids that were usually like 2 years older than me. So when I was in high school, a lot of my friends were a grade or 2 older than me. And I only had one friend that was in the same grade as me that I was friends with.
In a week. But in that week, we would sit next to each other in class, and I don't remember us talking ever, but I just know that we used to sit next to each other in class. The next year, we moved away from that black school because it turned out that black school was actually something called a Title I school, which basically means that it was a poor school and the education there was poor, and my mom didn't want me going to that school. We ended up moving to it wasn't a really nice area, but it goes along the lines of when Dave Chappelle said his family made just enough money to grow up poor around white people. I relate strongly, but it was like that. So when I got into this new school, it was the complete opposite. It was a predominantly white middle school, and there was like a smattering of black people. I would go to a black summer camp for 2 years, which seems like forever when you're a kid, and I didn't have any issues there. But I guess the white friends that I had apparently made a strong enough impression on me that it was evident in the way that I acted around black people that they were like, we're not feeling it. You don't feel like one of us. But I was also really sheltered. I wasn't allowed to do shit, okay? The only friend whose house I was allowed to spend the night over, technically two friends, but the main friend whose house I was allowed to spend the night over like regularly also had a single mom. And my mom was like, if there's a man in the house, you're not going to nobody's house. I wasn't allowed to go there if they had like an older brother.
I was in the same position. I didn't get to do any sleepovers.
Or if a daddy was there. That also made it really hard for me to make friends. But something else started contributing to me struggling to make friends. I had to take ADHD meds. I know they have different effects on different people's bodies, but what they did to me is they turned me into a zombie. So that confident, like very boisterous side of me had a difficult time bubbling to the surface. I started being called something that I had never heard of before in 7th grade, and that was an Oreo. And I guess the reason why I started getting called that at the predominantly white school is most of the black kids at the predominantly white school that I went to were coming from like poorer areas, and they were just like my mom, moving to these predominantly white areas so that their kids could live in a better area. And so these black kids are coming from black schools, they're coming here, they're looking at me thinking, bitch, why do you talk like that? And so they were calling me an Oreo, and I was considered lame. I was hitting puberty. I was an only child. I had to go straight home every single day after school. So I just stayed a kid for a lot longer, and other kids just didn't like that. I was friends with the misfits. They were really nice to me, but I hated it. I didn't feel like I had control over the types of friends that I was making, and I was just stuck with whoever was left. And I have two feelings about that. Number one, you probably think, oh, what a bitch. This kid is ungrateful. But on the other hand, friendships are like relationships. Would you date anybody just because they're attracted to you and they like you? No, you wouldn't. You have to like them too. You want to be compatible. And I wasn't compatible with these friends. We were misfits, which meant that we were all separate, different entities. We didn't have anything in common other than the fact that the other kids didn't like us. And
yeah, I felt very lucky that finally in high school I made friends that I actually got along with, and we actually vibed well. Like, it was a small friend group of 4 people and like a bigger friend group of like 8 people. And in the small 4-person friend group, we all had a few things in common. We were all kind of nerds. We all liked learning a little bit and getting good grades, or wanting to get good grades. We were all in the same AP classes together. But more important than any of those things, we all loved anime and we loved drawing. So we, at lunch, were the anime nerds. We were the anime art nerds. But it's hard to make fun of 8 anime art nerds when they just hang out and fill a whole table together. So we might have been the weeb artists, but at least we, had each other and we got along and we had a good time. So there was that, okay? There was that.
In 9th grade, we stayed in that same school system, and I felt like it was getting better. I was becoming more confident. I think I wasn't on the medication anymore. Some other kids were coming in who hadn't known me from middle school, so I got to rebrand myself. It was great, actually. I am pretty sure, I was feeling so good, and, I was talking to the black people, how much I loved that. But then my stepdad proposed to my mom, and we had to go live with him, and he lived in... I'm trying to say it in a way that's not disrespectful to the area, even though I don't care if I'm disrespectful to the area, because there are worse areas, but it was on the edge of Metro Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. It was on the very edge, the last city in Metro Atlanta before the freaking outskirts and Coyote Land. It was just such an irrelevant place to live, and I hated it, and I just wasn't compatible with the area. And
who omega lol moment. That was my high school friend, but it was D&D instead of anime. I hung out with the metalheads / emo kids. Oh, so you were cool, okay, is what you're telling me. I wanted to hang out. I remember in my quest for friendship, because I am too spiteful and I'm too competitive to give up. In my quest for friendship, I thought maybe I could join a chess club. Surprise, surprise, there was no chess club in my school. I thought maybe there was a debate club. There was no debate club. I went to a pretty mediocre high school, so there wasn't really a whole lot. I wanted to have a D&D group in high school, but there was nobody that played D&D in my high school. There was no D&D club. And so the only club that I actually ended up joining that I actually enjoyed was the theater club. Yay! Which in hindsight, fucking kudos to me for doing that, okay? Because that really was one of the best things I could have done for my anxiety. It helped me learn how to project my voice. It helped me learn how to get along with a lot of other people. And it helped me get over a lot of like stage fright that I had. Because everybody else was doing the same cringy shit. Everybody else was getting on stage, being cringe, and having a good time and not caring about anything. So I have to say that was like, at least I got the theater kid in me young.
General, because there was nothing around, there was nothing to do. We lived in this neighborhood. There was only this one kid. He was my next door neighbor, and he stank all the time, and he smelled like butt. And now it looks like he's a white supremacist, so I guess it's good that I didn't become friends with him after all. There were a lot of kids that I would have been okay being friends with, but I wasn't allowed to leave the house. I was 15. I wasn't allowed to go to anybody's house. This is when cell phones were just getting popular. My first phone was like a shitty Nokia, but my first real phone was a Virgin mobile phone, and I got minutes. So it was not unlimited. I had a certain amount of minutes, and these minutes were like for emergencies only. There was no like getting on the phone, kikiing with my homies. My stepdad did not allow me to give out our home phone number, so nobody.
High key, I kind of got lucky because my mom is such a yapper. She's just as much of a yapper as I am. Honestly, everyone in my family is a yapper. Like, I've hung out with friends before and they're like, oh, you're not going to pick up your phone? Your family's calling. And I was like, you don't understand. It's going to be a 2-hour phone call if I pick up. And they're like, no, just talk to them for like 5 minutes and then hang up. And I was like, you don't understand. That's not how it's going to play out. And they're like, I don't believe you. And I'm like, okay, I'll show you. And then what happens without fail every time is that my family will be like, why are you trying to leave? Why are you in such a rush to leave? You don't want to talk to me? What is it? Well, you don't want to hear me talk? It's like, what did I tell you, man? What did I tell you? Okay. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as Arab people who don't like to yap. Okay. All right. You either pick up the phone and commit 2 hours or you don't pick up the phone. All right. That's it. That's it. So I got really lucky that my mom and my family members were big yappers. So as soon as unlimited minutes came out, my mom was on that shit immediately. She was like, no. I don't care. My mom is a very frugal person, but she was like, this is the one thing where we will splurge. I am not talking for a few minutes at a time. We're getting unlimited minutes. We are getting unlimited minutes. We'll reuse the same cookie jar 1,000,000 times for 1,000,000 different things, but I'm getting my fucking unlimited minutes. So I got lucky on that front because I also obviously then had an unlimited plan. So I got to call my friends and yap and yap and yap for hours at a time. So
call me. Our phone only made outbound calls to local numbers, and a lot of people at my school were from other states. So I could not call most people from my school. Do you see how many layers that I had to go in making friends? It's not even so much that I was lonely because of all of those things, but because I was so socially stunted at that age where it was so important to learn, it made it more difficult for me as an adult because all the stuff that I should have been learning socially when I was in middle school and high school, I had to learn after I became an adult and I was living away from home for the first time. So all of that awkwardness and lack of communication that had built up in that time just stayed with me. And you're wondering, didn't you get rid of?
And high key, if I had not made friends in high school, I think it would have been so Jover for me. If I'm already a bit of a nerd and a loser, if I didn't make any friends in high school, I would have been the biggest loser on the planet. Like I would probably be a femcel if not for the fact that I made friends in high school. Like that was really the only thing that saved me.
It in college? No, because I stayed at home during college because I didn't want to take out loans because I couldn't afford to live on campus unless I took out loans. I really wish I had just taken out those loans and stayed on campus. I stayed on campus probably a total of 1.5 years when I was in college, and it was definitely transformative. I had friends, but my friends from college were once again like misfit friends.
Are you still in touch with them? I've stopped talking to most of them, sadly. In the big, larger group of 8 friends, I basically don't talk to any of those people anymore, because we just didn't jive as well. Within the 4-person friend group, one person I stayed in contact with for a very long time, and then they kind of just disappeared one day, and I tried calling them and texting them, and they just, like, they just disappeared. I don't know if they switched their number or what, but I'm not in contact with them anymore. It's really sad because I'm like, well, I wonder what happened. Another person ended up like moving and having kids and going to a different country. And so we just don't talk anymore, I guess. And one of my friends, we are still good friends actually. We don't hang out that much just because we don't have that many common interests and we live across the country. Like she still lives in New York and I live in California now. But when I was living in New York, we hung out a lot actually, until I moved out here. And now when I'm in New York, we hang out, and if she's ever in California, we would hang out. I was in New York last year at the end of the year and I went over and I hung out with her and she invited me to her place, and she recently had a kid and she was like, look at my baby. And then she put her baby in my hands and the baby started crying. And I'm like, I don't know how to hold a baby. I'm sorry. Take it back. And she was like, it's okay. He's just particular. It's okay. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm doing my best. Okay. So I would say that we're still good friends. We just like don't hang out that much because we don't have that many common interests, that are on the computer, and we live so far apart from each other. But every once in a while, like every couple months, we'll like send each other some text messages and be like, how's everything? How are you doing? Blah, blah. So yeah.
My best friend I came to really love. I wanted really bad to have a friend that looked like a different version of me. Another Black female. That's what I wanted. And I was friends with a chubby Black gay guy. Picture the guy from The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I don't know his name, but picture that character, and that's how he was. He's lost a lot of weight and gotten super fit now, but back then he was still closeted, but he was very feminine. I was a friend snob.
It also helps a lot to have friends that are like you. It's nice to have friends that are like a nice variety, because it teaches you a lot about other people's experiences and other people's lived experiences. But at the end of the day, I do feel that there is a need internally to find friends that are like you. And I think that's why me and one of my friends that I still stay in contact with are still good friends, and we were good friends. And it's because we grew up with a very similar life experience. We both grew up in Muslim households. We both grew up as girls, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. We had a lot of shared life experiences and a lot of shared like familial experiences, especially with culture and religion and all that stuff. And I feel like that it matters a lot to have people that are like you around you. I do think it's also important that the opposite is true as well, that you have people around you that aren't like you. But yeah, people really downplay the significance of proximity. Yeah. It's really sad, but it's at the point now where I got into content creation, to be honest, because I was really lonely and depressed, and I needed anything to make me stop feeling lonely and depressed. And content was it for me. And streaming is such an easy way to meet other people that do the same thing as you. So you already have a shared hobby. And it's become really sad because I just like don't bother trying anymore when it comes to friendships that are like, I don't want to say don't bother trying, but I feel very disheartened when I see that someone doesn't live in LA. Because I'm like, I know that what's going to end up happening is the same thing that happens every time, which is I'm going to be the one that initiates every time we hang out. I'm going to be the one that asks us to hang out in Discord. I'm going to be the one that asks us to play this game together. I'm going to be the one to do it. And I just want to be able to have friendships where I can meet up in person, and it's not me every time initiating the hangout. Proximity is so important. It's so, so, so important. And it's sad because I want to be friends with all of these people, but like, I know realistically speaking, I really shouldn't even bother dedicating time that I know I'm just going to be sad about later. VO. So like now I'm like, if I see someone's in LA, I'm like, I'm fucking hanging out with them. because that will be a lot easier to maintain. That friendship is just so much easier to maintain. James, thank you for the gifts up to Theo. Komodo Dragon, thank you for the Prime. Bloomin, thank you for the 2 months.
Not gonna lie, there were some other people that I was friends with. We were like kind of part of this little friend group. The leader of our friend group did not like to claim that we were a group because she was ashamed of us. She would do things and exclude me all the time. And me and her don't talk anymore, but it was a clash of personalities. She was a narcissist and I was a narcissist. She thought she was the shit. I thought I was the shit. She was much more successful at convincing other people she was the shit. I was still really socially awkward. Once I graduated college, I lived with my grandparents for 2 years until I finally moved into this apartment complex with 2 other girls. I had made friends with people at this college near my hometown, and I used to hang out there a lot, especially after I graduated, and through them I met this girl. She and her friend were looking for a 3rd roommate. I said yes. Dear God, this was probably the loneliest time in my life. More lonely than when I was like in—
Your friends watch/chat regularly? Yes and no. I feel really weird about it. I don't know why, but when my friends are in chat, I feel guilty. I'm like, I must be holding them at gunpoint. But like, obviously I'm not. And I have friends that I've had on the internet for years, who are subbed and they've been subbed and they come and use their primes on me all the time and they hang out and stuff. And I'm like, thanks. You can have friends in other countries, though. I have a friend from Denmark. We were best friends in high school, moved back after graduation. Oh, for sure. I mean, one of my best friends currently lives in Maryland? Maryland or Virginia, I forget. I think it's Maryland. And we hang out all the time. But that's because we both like video games and we both share a Discord and we hang out and we get along really well, even though we're totally different people. Like, none of our life experiences are the same. None of our life experiences are shared. But I remain friends with these people because I like playing those games and they like playing those games, and we continue to hang out because we like playing those games. It's about having a hobby that you both enjoy, that you're both willing to put energy and time into, and that you're both willing to reach out to the other person.
high school, sitting in my room, unable to talk to any of my friends, playing The Sims. Actually, I had a friend then, but the reason why this was the loneliest time in my life is because my male friend that I had, we had a falling out because I was a bad friend. And that happened right at the start of when I moved in with these girls. And they did not like me. They tried to do some really shady stuff to me when we first moved in. They told me that I was going to have the largest bedroom with my own private bath. And the reason that they said they were doing that was because they didn't want to have to share a bathroom with me because they didn't know me like that. So I was like, okay, fine. After we signed the lease though, and we had put in our deposits, they went and they saw the apartment for the first time in real life, and they realized that they fucked up by giving me the best room. So they came back to me and they were like, actually, you're going to be getting the smallest room that's attached to the guest bathroom. And I was like, no, I'm not. I've already signed the lease and I've already submitted my deposit. I will not be doing that. The leasing lady told me later after we moved in, they weren't going to be able to move into this apartment if you hadn't signed the lease because their credit was so bad. And I was like, that's funny. But yeah, they tried to do that. I stood firm and I was like, look, I don't even know if I would have agreed to live with you guys if this hadn't been the situation. Now, if you had come at me in the beginning with the smallest room, then maybe I could have, I don't know. We don't know. I had already signed the lease thinking I was going to get the largest room, but I held firm and I wasn't going to let them bully me. And of course they didn't like me. And I started living in this apartment with two girls who didn't like me, and they would go out and do stuff with each other all the time and hang out with each other and their friend group all the time.
I would.
And of course I was never
That must be so depressing. Oh my God.
invited to anything because they hated me. I did have a friend group that I knew during this time that me and that girl knew in common. They were all guys, and I'm very wary about friendships with men because something I started noticing was that after I got into college, men were much more willing to be friends with me than women were. And I'm like, obviously it's because they're attracted to me and they probably hope that something's going to pop off one day between us. And it just makes me look at male friendships differently. Do you really like me as a person, or is this just like something that you're hoping something will happen? I was so lonely there. I used to cry so many nights when I was there. I used to take long walks at 1 a.m. in our apartment complex.
I've always had the opposite problem where I don't know what it is about me, but I have always struggled my whole life to make male friendships. Like close male friendships. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I make friends with girls so easily, and I have so many female friends, and I've had female friends my whole life. But I have male friends, and I finally did end up getting male friends. And one of my best friends is a guy that I've met over Blade and Soul, and we've been friends for like 7 years now. And we've hung out in real life and we're cool. But I just don't know what it is about the real world, like being outside in public, but I've just always struggled with it. Me too, and I'm a man, same. I don't understand. I've never understood why. I just can't. I don't understand. I just don't get it. Yeah.
By myself.
Sometimes wear a bag over your head. They won't know any better. Well, the weird thing is, when I was an ugly duckling, I couldn't make any male friends. None of them wanted to talk to me. But when I became less ugly duckling, I still struggled with male friendships. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just something about like when I go to social events, I struggle in those conversations to like make a lasting impression. But I never have struggled to make a lasting impression with women. That's always been, not every single woman, obviously, but yeah. And the even weirder thing is I also struggle really hard to be friends with women who only have male friends. Every single woman I've ever met that has almost like 99% male friends, I've never been friends with them. Not because I don't want to be clear. I've always wanted to have those friends. I've always struggled with it. I just don't know why. I'm just total opposite. I make more male friends, but I can't make friends with women. And the weird thing is, like, I don't even necessarily share a lot of hobbies with women. This has always been the even weirder thing, like the most confusing thing. Generally speaking, I have yet to make a single female friend that is as competitive as I am in video games. It is so far. I don't know if I've ever met another person who likes video games as much as me and likes being competitive as me. Girl, play with me. Like I have such a toxic mentality about video games, like straight up like a toxic mentality. Like it's like, if I'm not masters, like what's the point? Oh yeah, I can be gold. I can be a loser that sucks at video games, or I can actually be good. And I have never made a female friend that's like that. And in general, I've run into a lot of dudes like that. I've run into a lot of dudes. I hit master in League and then I quit. I've met a lot of dudes who are very toxic and dudes who are very competitive. That I feel like that's been a quality that I've shared with other men, but I've struggled with male friendships, which is weird. Or like astrology is a good example where I have lots of female friends that love astrology, and I'm not a big astrology person. I've never really been into astrology. I think it's cute. I think it's nice. I think it's like a feel-good thing. And I feel like if you enjoy it and it makes you happy, fucking sick. Hell yeah. So like, I feel like a lot of my hobbies and my interests lean male. And a lot of like female coded hobbies, I haven't necessarily delved a lot into outside of sewing and sewing, I think. But I have struggled to make male friends in real life. I just don't understand. Do you think your genuine interests are interpreted as pick me to guys? I don't know. I've never had that accusation against me, so I'm not sure.
We used to live right next to a police station, so maybe I felt a little safe. And it wasn't a bad area. It's off a main road, and nothing ever happened. But I used to take these long walks, and I used to just cry and just really try to think to myself, why am I so lonely? What can I do about it? Who can I talk to? Where can I go? I would just be upset all the time. And it was there at this apartment with all these crying and all these tears where I finally realized, like, I have to do something about it. I have to change. I'm tired of being lonely. I've been unhappy with my friends for the longest time. I'm tired of just taking anybody who'll be friends with me. I really really want to be friends with people that I like and who like me, and we have things in common and all that stuff. So I made that decision at that apartment complex with those girls. We had a huge falling out at the end. We all had individual falling outs with each other. I fell out with each of them individually for separate reasons. They fell out with each other for separate reasons. So by the end of it, we all hated each other, and I'm pretty sure none of us talk anymore. I don't talk to either of those girls anymore. I started doing Uber, and I hated it because I was an introvert, and I hated the feeling of being forced to talk to somebody in a confined space, but I did it. I didn't have a choice. It was my job, and I just learned how to talk to people, and it was really that. I did Uber for maybe 4 months. I used to make $400 a week. It's not good money, but I made money. Let's just say that. My rent was only $400, and my car note at the time was like $250, so it's not terrible. It was a living. That's where I learned to talk to people for the first time. It's like improv. If somebody says something, you got to say something else to keep the conversation going. I got into a new job, and it was like my first big girl job, my first adult job. When I got there, I made a resolution that I would do whatever it took to make friends. I would talk to any person. I would say anything. Because before, I had this philosophy that I could just be myself and I'll make friends that way. I threw that philosophy out the window, and I just started being whoever a person who had friends was. And it worked. I had so many friends. It was the most friends I had ever had in my life. I loved going out with them and hanging out with them and talking to them and feeling like they really cared. The only time where things got shady was that feeling of when mutual friends of yours start hanging out together and they don't invite you. So that was starting to happen with some people there. And it felt racial or cultural because they were all Latina, and it felt like they weren't inviting me because if they invited me, then they would have to change. They would literally have to change their speech patterns because they would talk in Spanish, English, Spanglish, all that stuff. And if I was there, they would have to only talk in English. They had cultural things that they also knew about each other. They were from all different parts of Latin America, but they all shared that Latin culture. And I was a Black girl. That was definitely not the first time that some friends of mine had hung out with other friends, but it really stung. It stung because I asked my closest friend, I considered her my best friend. She did not consider me her best friend. I had invited all of them to my birthday party. They brought friends. My best friend was planning a birthday party for them, and I asked her if I was invited, and she said, no, you're not invited. And bitch, I felt like shit. I felt like complete and utter shit because I felt so stupid. I was like, wow, I invited them to my birthday, but now they're not inviting me to theirs. My birthday is very important to me. It's like the one day of the year that I just allow myself to be a complete narcissist. Not really. I allow myself.
High key, I have such like birthday trauma. I hate my birthday. I hate it. I despise it. It's just like a reminder of every single terrible birthday I've ever had in my life. It's like a reminder of every single time I've invited people and no one's shown up. It's like a reminder of every single person that's forgotten it. I hate it. I hate my birthday. I hate birthdays. Like, it just makes me want to cry. Yeah. Just awful. Just terrible. I hate them too. Yeah. I have hardcore birthday trauma. I pretend it isn't real. I just like ignore it. I actually, the most fun I've ever had with my birthday is streaming. Like, that is the most I've ever had. Because at least everyone who's showing up wants to be there, and I don't feel like anyone's there because they feel like they have to be there. And it's just like a fun experience. Like, I get to just hang out. The way I've accepted my birthday is always going to suck. Literally me. Literally just like me for real. Straight up, just like me for real. Get a birthday month? Great. I get 2 weeks of birthday depression. Yeah. Yup. Uh-huh. And I think it's because I have a lot of social anxiety and I feel weird reminding people that it's my birthday. And so every single time that my birthday rolls around, I'm always depressed because pretty much consistently, for a very long time, the people around me would forget that it was my birthday. And they either would give me something I didn't want for my birthday, or they wouldn't even remember that it was my birthday. And it's like, okay. So like, I just don't. Birthdays feel so fake. Yeah. I mean, they kind of are, but like, yeah. Do you get people being fake nice to you on your birthday, then go back to treating you like shit? No, I just kind of don't get people responding to me. When's your birthday? The 7th of November. The most fun that I've ever had so far was that I threw a birthday party last year, and it actually was fun. It was actually fun. It was like the first fun birthday I've had in so long. And What spell did you cast? I don't even know. I have no idea. Another Scorpio baddie slay. Wait, yes. My ex-wife would want to do a huge thing for me, and then I end up footing the bill.
The most fun I've had on my birthday was with your mom last night.
Good one. Master the O, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Gatsby, thank you for the 30 months. Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, it's like, this is going to be the most annoying thing I've ever said in my life, but I try really hard if I give somebody else a birthday gift. Like, I try to give them something that's unique to them that they will appreciate, that isn't just garbage. Because I've just received so much garbage over the year that is very clearly like, I need a gift. Let me just go to a store and pick something random. And it's like, I would rather you give me nothing than just give me this random shit that you picked out that I don't want, it's just going to sit in a fucking closet, make me feel guilty about throwing it out. Right. And so every year that passes by with my friends, I try really hard and I try to come up with something that like I think is interesting, that will actually make people enjoy their gift. And I know it's like I did this to myself because I know I have too much anxiety to ever tell somebody else what I want or what I like or to talk about myself. Like, stream is just my outlet for all the things that I can't do in real life. And so I never really, it's very rare that I actually get a good gift. It's happened very few times that I've actually gotten a good gift of like, wow, this is actually something I really wanted. Thank you. And like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm appreciative that I get anything at all. And I try to remind myself that like, some people don't get anything. Some people don't have people that even get them gifts. And so I should be appreciative of that. Which has helped with my mental state. But it is very sad to kind of be in the position where you feel like it doesn't matter how much effort you put in. The other person will never put in that much effort. Which is like, oh man, I guess that's life. You know, I guess that's life. It's just how it is, I guess, you know, and you can't force people to do what you want. You can't force people to be able to like, you know, I will say this is kind of petty of me. Maybe I despise when people ask me what I want for my gift. I hate it so bad. I don't know why. I don't know why I hate it so much, but I fucking hate it. I don't know what I want. Don't ask me what I want. And like, also, if we're friends, you should be able to come up with something. But like, that's my most extra position. I don't know. If I knew of something that I wanted, I would get it for myself, right? And I already kind of do get myself the things that I want. And I feel weird asking someone else to get me something specific. Right? Like, oh yeah, can you go to the store and get me one of these? Like, that feels weird. I don't know. Yeah, it's like the mental work for a gift. Yeah. I would rather have a card. The best gifts I ever received were cards. Were like hand-drawn, handmade cards. Those were the best gifts I've ever received ever. Like, they're like a heartfelt message is better than any soap bar I've ever received. The only person I allow to do this with is my dad, and it's only because he'll get me things that I can't readily pay for myself. Yeah. It just feels like at that point, it's like, I don't want to make a list for you, right? I don't want to make a list. It feels like I'm sending you on an errand. This feels like it's like an obligation now. I would much rather the experience of, I know you've wanted this thing for a long time, so I'm going to get it for you for your birthday. And then surely there must be something that comes up with me on this front, right? I also like, I think I've sworn off birthdays. I feel like they're just like, Like they're just gonna make me sad every time, right? And they're just it's just gonna make me sad. What about Christmas? I didn't really celebrate Christmas because I grew up Muslim, so I don't really have any strong opinions about Christmas. Although every time I've engaged in Christmas stuff, I've not really. I don't think it's ever really lived up to expectations. That's why I like having the throne wish list because I can just send that link to friends and family. Actually, that's pretty smart. Low key, that's pretty smart. But yeah, I just like. Do you get gifts for Eid? When I was younger, my dad used to give me money, spending money, but that's it. So, yeah. I just try to remember that like I am fortunate enough to have people in my life who will show up and will hang out. And that's honestly more than a lot of other people have. And I should be grateful for what I have. Because not everyone gets to experience that. And greed is like the easiest way to make sure you will be unhappy forever. Meerkat. Meerkat.
To lean into it. But fast forward to today, I'm still learning and I'm still growing and I still feel lonely all the time. The only thing that's changed is I definitely feel more confident in who I am as a person. That happened recently, bitch, like in the past 2 years. I had to learn that everybody thinks that they're the main character. So everybody's going to treat you like you're a side character. I can definitely say avoid people that are going to treat you like you're a side character in their story. Those are not good friends. But there were times where I was that person and I didn't deserve those friends either because that sucks. It can kill your confidence, but also make you crave connection even more desperately. It's probably why I think a lot of us want so desperately to be friends with people who don't want to be friends with us. I know that there have been several times where I've been drawn to the very charismatic personality that gives off Regina George vibes, only to turn around and treat you like shit. And you're like, but why are you treating me like this? It's because she was Regina George. She was like that when you met her. That's what you liked. You liked the exclusivity of her friendship. That's just not a healthy person. I used to view myself as an island, and I used to view friendships as trying to invite people to my island. Come over to my island, see what I got going on. But people never wanted to visit my island. I never understood why. What I had to learn how to do was start visiting people at their islands. Go to their islands, hang out with them, talk to them, follow their islands
Animal
rules,
Crossing
follow
New
their
Horizons.
islands boundaries. Eventually, they started coming to my island. Don't be afraid to kick people off your island. Don't keep toxic friends or shitty friends just because you want friends. I don't know if you believe in energy and karma and all that stuff. You're putting the vibe out there into the universe that you'll accept any type of friend and you'll accept any type of friendship. You'll just continue to get really bad friends if you just keep accepting whatever type of treatment. You have to set boundaries with yourself and you have to follow them and respect them even when you're dying of loneliness inside. I mean, my advice for getting over loneliness would definitely be, this is going to sound super lame, but putting yourself out there. What does that look like? Putting yourself out there can mean physically, literally putting yourself out there, like joining a club or a team. It also means internally and emotionally putting yourself out there. You have to make peace with it because it's going to come and it's going to go. There has been a person who I have been trying to be friends with for 4 years. She is a neighbor of mine and it took her a really long time to open up to me. I remember the first year that I knew her, I would try to befriend her and she was really resistant. But I would see her talking to other people and I'd be like, what the hell? She's capable of making new friends and she's capable of being friends with her neighbors. She's choosing not to be friends with me. And I'll definitely let that get under my skin and I let it bother me. It really has been in the past 6 months where things have changed. She started acting different and opening up to me and we started like hanging out more. She's actually moving in 2 weeks. And so
I don't know if this is like autism brain or what, but I feel like also this is something I've had to learn the hard way. You can't force friendships. If someone isn't interested, you can't just keep inviting them and hoping they become friends with you. I tried for the longest to be friends with this one person and I would invite them to stuff and I would try and hang out with them and I would try and talk to them. And whenever I would talk to them, they would have a good time, but like they very clearly never made an effort, right? And then I kind of like gave up and I moved on. And now I'm actually at the point right now where they are messaging the fuck out of me. And I don't know how to feel about this emotion. I haven't learned how to process it yet. But the bitterness that you still hold about that person, that is something that I have yet to learn how to process correctly. Where I feel like I tried so hard to be your friend, and now that you are in a position where you want or need something from me, you're very interested in being friends with me. I just don't want to be friends with you anymore. I've like lost the interest now, which is like, how the fuck do you process that? Why are human emotions so complicated? What the fuck? That's the problem with treating friendships the same. Friendships aren't one size fits all. Oh yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah. May your cat. Another thing that I really struggle with is why are you guys talking about Hassan? I don't understand. I have a very specific person in my mind, and it's a woman, actually. And it's very infuriating. Like, I just like, I struggle really hard with friendships with people between stages of their life in their relationship, where I've had people that I've tried to be friends with, and I'm like, oh, this person's cool. Let's be friends. And they don't show up, or they cancel or whatever. And then suddenly they're not in a relationship anymore and they're blowing up my phone. And it's like, oh, what happens when you enter another relationship? You're just going to ditch me again? It's like, I don't really want that. And now it's like, how do I fucking get rid of this bitterness to enjoy what I have? Right? Do those people suck? Or the opposite makes me so mad as well. I've had friends that this has happened a lot more with, I think this is like one of many problems that I've run into with male friendships, where I'll be friends with men and we'll be really cool and we'll be super swag. And they get in a relationship and now they don't talk to anyone else. And it's like, so was everyone else just a stand-in until you found a relationship? That's fucked up, man. Like, what? Okay, I guess. I guess. That's kind of sad, no? This happened to me with my guy friend. It feels really shitty. Yeah. To be clear, women do this as well. I'm not saying that this is not something that happens with women. I've just had it happen to me anecdotally a lot more with men than I have with women. Lurker here. The other one I deal with is being the only parent in my friend circle, so I can't just go and do stuff. So I'm cut out of the social circle all the time. Yeah, I would say that that's also a bit of a problem of like, you need to have friends that are willing to make time and space for you. Like, I love Sabrina. I love hanging out with Sabrina. I love the person that Sabrina is. She is one of my best friends. And she's the coolest person that I've had the privilege of being friends with since moving to LA. But I know that she has an older dog. I think Ava's like 14. And because of that, her dog needs more attention. So I try anytime I can, I try to make the extra effort of being like, hey, I'm cool to come over to your place and hang out. Because I know Ava gets really sad when you're outside for a long period of time. So if I'm not intruding, I'm down to come and we can hang out at your place. Because I know my cats have each other, and cats are not as like attached as dogs usually are. And she has just the one dog who's older. So like, yeah, sure, I don't care. We can hang out at your place. And I think that sometimes can be hard, finding people who will do that for you. My life hack was volunteering to run D&D, which brings them to my place on a regular schedule. That's sick. That is sick. Even the church I went to, there was a group for college-aged people to meet up, and if any of them ever got married, they never showed up again. Like they treated it like hinged Christian. Yeah. 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 I also know that, like, I'm annoying in a in the way that I want people to just tell me things. Be upfront with me. Like, if you want to, you're in your honeymoon phase or whatever, or you're in a relationship and it brings you joy, that's fine. Like, I get it. You do what makes you happy. I don't ever want someone to hang out with me due to obligation. But why is it so difficult to tell someone, hey, sorry if we hang out less. I'm really enjoying this and this and this. But just know we're still good friends. I just currently am in this part of my life. I feel like that's the thing that gets me really frustrated. That's the thing that, like, breaks my heart a little. It's like, you can't even just send me a message and let me know that you won't be as available. Because I'm okay with that. I want the message. I was also I was a single dad, so of course my friend group was mostly all women, and then I got into a relationship, all those kind of faded, but it wasn't intentional. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just not intentional, right? Yeah, exactly. But anyways, guys, I just realized it's like 12 o'clock, and in usual fashion, I have an appointment that I have to get to, and I have some work I have to get to, so we don't get to finish this video. Mayor Cat, do you hear that? You get to have unadulterated. Unadulterated? Why does that sound wrong? Unadulterated. There we go. Unadulterated Denims time until I have to leave. But I'm gonna head out, guys. Not finishing videos. Wow, a shocker, I know, on this stream. No way. But I really do appreciate you all for coming to the stream and tuning in. I will be here again on Thursday. I kind of wanted to do some more streams. I feel like we haven't been streaming as much, and I kind of wanted to do more random streams. I don't know. Maybe something to look forward to. Yesterday, I almost just went live in the middle of the day. I don't know if that's something you guys would be down for or not. I don't know. We'll see. But I really do appreciate you all for coming back or coming to the stream, having a good time. Make sure to stay hydrated. Make sure to tell your homies you love them. And I will see all of you guys on Thursday. Have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next time. And Mayor Cat says he loves you. I'm going to eat you. Anyways, goodbye. Bye, everybody.